On Second Shot, we tackle 2 new headlines every week to find out what kind of wisdom the world is dishing out today. And we want you to be a part of that. When you see a headline you want to take a second shot at, or if you're looking for advice, or just want to tell us what you think of the show, email us at secondshotcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, rate us on iTunes. This helps us move up in the ratings so more people will see us. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the show so that the new episodes will get straight to you every single Friday. We love you. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
Heath Oaks is a millennial mogul whose ignorance on fire led him to fail his way to success. Jenny Anchondo is an Emmy award-winning journalist whose sharp eye and biting wit have led to her storied career in television. Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only an odd couple with a dash of perfect opposite can. So kick back, relax, and join the conversation. This is Second Shot with your hosts, Heath and Jenny.
All right, now we're back here for Second Shot. Now, the interesting thing is...
What?
You should have seen Zach and Matt. You should have seen this. This is pretty incredible. I'm not going to lie.
Uh-huh.
So, as y'all know, Brighton is all girl. And as much as I've done everything in my power, it's you can't help it.
It's lonely at the top.
She straight up, we've talked several times about her trying to put her mama's high heels on. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a difference of some of the little girls that will put like their mama's high heels on. And Brighton puts them on and walks all over the house in them.
She rocks it.
And I'm not talking, Jenny doesn't have short high heels.
Sure.
She literally
We're
puts
4.5
them
inch
on
minimum.
and walks all over the house with no problem.
Really?
It's absolutely incredible.
Good balance.
The girl can work it.
Yeah.
It's about time she start, I don't know if it's going to be a modeling career, a speaking career, something to start earning her keep. So she's going to need her professional, business wear on.
Yeah. those blasted child labor laws just get right in the way of that, don't they? Yeah.
I know.
Dang.
It screws us up every time.
Yeah. Somebody's got to pay rent. And what's the deal here? Yeah.
I know.
Food ain't cheap.
Charlie's no help either.
What's the secret to walking around high heels when how old is she now? I mean, she's got to be...
She's going to be 2.
She's not even 2.
At the end of May.
Right.
Yeah.
She's going to be 2. The secret is confidence. She is ignorance on fire,
right.
like her dad.
hasn't she's taken a couple tumbles, I'm sure.
She literally has no fear when it comes to anything scaring or daring, just whatever.
Sure.
Does she have like a character that she does when she's walking around in high heels? Does she act a different way? Or anything like that?
Mama?
That's a good
Yeah.
question. Yeah, she's more so
Yeah.
trying to show us, like, Mama,
Yeah.
look.
I can do it.
She does everybody in pairs, too. Like,
Okay.
when she talks to people or about people, she says Mama Dada, Gigi Pop, which is Heath's parents, Gaga Peppy, which are my parents.
Oh, man.
And then her nanny's name is Irma, and she calls her Irmatina. And Brighton's middle name is Valentina. So she calls her Irmatina like they're a duo, like they're a pair. Like
Sure,
we've got
yeah.
Mama Dada, Gaga Peppy, Irmatina.
I got to
These are
start
the teams.
I got to start
Yeah.
sliding over for play dates. I got to get in here.
I know,
Yeah, the
I
governor's
know.
good, yeah.
Like what's she gonna? She might call you Zach Matt. I don't know.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll take Zach Matt. I'm fine with that. I love it. Is she doing makeup yet? Lipstick, mascara?
God.
She wants
She
to.
tries
Okay.
to. Yeah,
She's
I have.
trying.
Well, and we got her a plastic set, but it was like a no-go. She's very disinterested in the plastic set. She wants the real thing. So I have 3 brushes that I'll give her to kind of
Sure.
play with and stuff like that. So
Yeah, every time her mama doing her makeup, she comes over there. Mama, lips,
and she
mama,
says brush.
brush.
Yeah. I love it.
That's funny.
Well, speaking of domestic affairs, a Texas woman allegedly attacks her husband after getting silence when asked if she's pretty. Yes, Lizeth Ramirez, 20, was arrested late Tuesday after allegedly assaulting her common-law husband after he didn't respond when she asked if she was pretty. According to the report, they were headed back from the movie theater. On their way out, she asked her husband if she was pretty. He claims he didn't hear her.
Of course he does.
She got upset. During their ride home, she allegedly hit him repeatedly. At home, she continued to hit him and even assaulted a family member who tried to intervene.
Well,
She was charged with 2 counts of assault and family violence.
He learned a valuable lesson. It's always a trap. That question is always a trap.
Well, hold on. He didn't
how
hear
about he
her.
starts listening?
Oh, all right. Second shots on this, gang. What
I
do
can
you
tell you
think?
this: is men listening, do not go silent when your wife asks, "Is she pretty?"
Hey, babe, have I ever asked you that?
No.
No. Because here's the thing. You do not ask what you do not want the answer to.
Oh.
And also, if it's just like sometimes you just don't want to hear it. Sometimes, usually when someone's asking that, there's some sort of insecurity there. right? You're already kind of feeling insecure, which is why you're asking for the assurance. But if I'm feeling insecure, I don't want to draw attention to it. So I do not ask.
That's funny. I had a totally different pitch on this. I was going to say you don't ask because you don't need no man to tell you that you're gorgeous, all right? You go out there and you rock the heels and you're fine. Yeah.
That's right, Zach.
Lisa needs a little, Miss Ramirez needs a little confidence is what she needs.
Well, there had to have been so much more behind that because I'm guessing that if he had been making her feel really adored and loved and, you know, outside beauty is one thing, but like really just cherished, there would be no need to ask the question.
That's compelling.
So
And
it's really
also
like
no need to just attack someone for not answering the
I
question.
refuse to judge her for that attack.
I'd love to know what movie they were coming out of. You know, what prompts a question like that in a response from a young
And to have the
20-year-old.
violence built up to just go off on it.
Yeah.
So when I thought about it, that's that one bid that God wishes he didn't miss, and whatever was going on in his mind. And
we need to talk deeper about what bids are because
a bid.
we've talked a lot. Have we gone into this on the podcast?
I don't think so.
I
So
don't think
either.
so.
Okay,
So
so-
Zach, this is going to be key for you in your marriage.
Hold on. I'm
so
listening.
pay close attention.
So the Gottman Institute, Gottman, Dr. Gottman is known big time in the relationship world, and the amount of research that they did. They got a lot of science backing a lot of things in relationships. And basically, to give a quick rundown, Zach, they had a lot of couples live in and study them in these apartments for years where they had a camera, they had little monitors, up little patches on to test like blood pressure spikes and
Heart
all that to
rates.
get
Oh,
heart
man.
rates as things happen. And literally these people just live there like normal for whatever amount of time, and they just filmed it all to have science data with what you should do with your partners, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
right. So it's a research-based approach to
Yes.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things when I heard this, and guys are notorious for this. But women, you can do this. You can as well.
Okay.
But
Hold on. Yeah, we don't know where this is going.
but
I see a headline being formed right now.
Here it comes.
one of the biggest data points that came out of that whole research to them was that missing bids is one of the most vital things in relationships. So one thing they found out was that the 6-year follow-up, after all the people that left it, they did 6-year follow-ups, okay? Couples that had stayed married turned towards one another 86% of the time. Couples that had divorced averaged only 33% of the time.
Turn towards.
So I mean, turn towards if your partner is not happy or
Has an issue or wants to discuss, you turn toward instead of turning against.
Like a
And
physical. Okay.
Right. Well, it's physical, and it's sort of like in the idea of turning towards someone instead of away from them. Like if you're like for example, even if you're dealing with something too,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm dealing with something and I go to Zach, then time if I go to Zach 9 times out of 10 and go to Heath only 1, well, guess what's going to happen to my relationship with Heath?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's like I'm turning away from him with my issues, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and so part of that turning towards is for a bid, and so it's knowing when your spouse or something has a bid that you. So like for instance, when that young lady said, "Do I look pretty?" Okay, that wasn't really her asking to look pretty. Like it was something
She
else.
was trying to have
just wanted to
contact.
have a contact or whatnot. Right? He
Yeah.
missed that bid obviously and paid
Totally.
for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So like a bid could also be if just walking in the front door and saying, oh hey, how are you? And if you're like, look, I'm busy. Or just like really short like that, that's one missed bid.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 minutes later, they say, hey babe, do you want dinner? Hey, look, I'm really in this thing. Okay, so that's 2 missed bid. 30 minutes later, hey, did you want to watch a movie? 3 missed bid. They're out. Like you're if you're
man.
constantly missing these bids, what we've learned through this research is that eventually they stop trying. Like you only get so many before someone then turns away from you.
And that's the thing is you don't have to hold yourself to accountability of get every bid, but you can't miss more than what you're getting. So a bid is any attempt from one partner to another for attention, affirmation, or affection, or any other positive connection. They can show up in very simple ways, like for instance, if you're supposed, hey, let's go get the chess board. You're like, I don't want to play chess.
Yeah.
Well, they're just really saying, I just want to kind of play around with you and have fun.
Sure.
You know, that's what that really meant. So you missed that bid.
Yep.
You know, if there's like, hey, can you do those dishes? Well, I don't have time right now. Well, look, you need to pick that bid up. That sometimes you need to show up and just do the dishes.
Yeah.
And to show that you're actually in this with them, right? So that's what a bid is, and that was like the clearest indicator of the divorce and not was that 86% time turning towards and going and connecting with the bids versus the people who didn't.
So they're only missing 15% of bids. That's a lot. I mean, you know, it is a high standard when you look at that and think, gosh, I can only, you know.
Sure.
I got to be on point at least 86% of the time.
This could be a whole show.
Yeah. So from your experience, is it enough to simply acknowledge the bid and just say, you know, so for instance, if my wife came to me and said, hey, do you want to do the dishes? If I were to give an answer like, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm busy right now, that's clearly not. But if I were to say, yes, I'm doing this right now, but in 10 minutes I will do the dishes, is that something that, like, could that diffuse the situation? That counts?
But here's the other thing, too, with the initial question. You probably didn't mean to phrase it that way. But when someone says, do you want to do blank, but they're actually kind of telling you to do something,
right?
That's just not really like a great way to start the conversation.
Yeah.
So her saying, like, do you want to do this? Well, then, like, okay, are you really asking, do I want to? Because of course the answer is going to be no.
Yeah,
like,
the answer is absolutely
hey babe,
no.
would you mind helping me with this? Then that's like a more authentic ask, which might get a more authentic, you know, bid back, or like you might be more likely to say, yeah, sure, you know, I'll help you with that.
Because I've heard about that in communication where, you know, if you have a problem with someone and you go to them and say, hey, I want to talk about this thing, right now may not be the best time, but you can at least say, I hear that you want to talk to me. Let's talk in an hour. Or
I hear that you want to know if you're pretty.
Right. I understand you want to know if you're pretty. Let's discuss this in an hour when we're.
Well, one thing to take away from that, though, Matt, is that if you did that, one thing to keep in mind would be that maybe your wife is not thinking you're pulling, you know, you're expecting everything on her, and that you're not letting her know that you appreciate that she does the dishes, you know. And so maybe you keep that in the back of your mind that the next day you come in, maybe you bring her a thank you card and say, look, I see all the things you do, and I want you to tell you, no, I appreciate it. Or every now and then, maybe it's that reminder to go just do them without her asking. That's like picking up on that.
Heath brings home thank you cards for me constantly. It's crazy.
That's that frustration.
I'm just kidding.
That's that frustration thing of just reminding that not to miss out on those bids on it all. And, you know, and I think maybe because we got some more stuff to go into with this, we could. So why don't we save some of that for the third segment, come back to that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I see your bid. I raise it by 10, and I will meet you in the third segment.
All right, we'll be back in the second segment of Second Shot.
He makes up words, she translates them. Heath and Jenny host more of Second Shot, coming up on RNCN.
You guys have been listening to Second Shot and hearing us talk about it. You need to go pick up my book, Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. You can get it on Amazon in a paper book. You can also hear this beautiful voice of mine in audiobook style on Audible or anywhere you're going to get your audiobooks. Guys, this book took a lot of time to put into it, and I believe it can really be some life-changing stuff to help you on your path to success. And hopefully you're going to fail your way to success just like I did. Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. Amazon.com, Audible.com, audiobooks, paper books, everything. Get it, share it with your people, and I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Go pick it up today.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
I'm just hoping that if you ever ask me if you're pretty, that I actually hear it, or I'll be, next thing you know, be beat up and laid up in the back or something.
I won't ask. I probably will never ask you that, honestly. I have too many insecurities of my own to actually come out and ask that. If I'm being totally honest with everyone who's listening, I would never ask anybody that. I would be like, oh, do I have a hair out of place or something? But I feel like if someone wants to give me a compliment, especially my husband, he will give it. So don't worry, you will not miss that bid.
How are you on accepting compliments? Because I've run into a lot of people who, when I'm trying to genuinely be nice, and they're like, no. And I know this was something that we talked about when we had the Dapper Diplomat on, about how important it is to accept a compliment and not just give one.
It's a learned skill, and I think that in order to receive it, you have to sort of like believe it yourself.
Right.
Otherwise, the compliment kind of falls on deaf ears. So if I'm feeling like, for example, when I was pregnant or something, like you should, for me, I felt very just unattractive. So if Heath were to be like, oh, you look beautiful, or, it was just like, no, I don't. Just stop.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still want him to say that if he thinks that. But I also don't want him to say that to make me feel better.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think you can tell if a compliment's genuine, and it's much easier to accept it if you like really feel the love from that person. And you're like, wow, you really think that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sometimes acting out of character will present like a vulnerability from a person that you just don't expect. You know, when somebody says something that you're like, wow, I wouldn't expect you to say that. Like, it's because they're being vulnerable and honest and real. And like, that's so valuable.
We got Dr. Phil. Yeah, I'm gonna play Dr. Phil.
Please
You
do.
are?
Now.
Okay.
We call this Dr. Phil show.
Dr. Phil
Go
show.
ahead.
Hello. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, you guys, Heath's voice. Okay, quick sidebar. A family friend who lives in Idaho, where I'm from, had only seen Heath in person and never heard his voice, and saw him on an Instagram story and thought that he was impersonating an accent.
Nice.
They were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny, his act." I'm like, "No, that's like his voice."
That's a cool bit he's
She
doing.
did not. She did not picture. Or hear the sound of my voice with what she pictured of me and saw of me. It was so funny.
Oh man, welcome to radio, right? That's broadcasting in general.
Yeah.
Okay,
Totally.
we should talk about this other headline,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Because
yes.
I actually really want to talk about this. This sounds really cool. How the Ikea effect subtly influences how you spend. The Ikea effect. This is a 3-page monster of an article, but I'm going to sum it up for you very quickly. What this is, right? What the Ikea effect is, according to this study, is this idea that the labor alone that you put into something can be sufficient to induce greater liking for the fruits of that labor. And what that means, for anybody out there who's not reading between the lines, is when you go to Ikea and you spend a lot of money on a dresser, and you got to go home and you got to build it and put it together yourself, somehow putting it together, putting in the work, makes you like it more because you had to go to the trouble to do it. Even though it was more work and time and energy, and you got a bunch of paper cuts, like somehow going home and spending an afternoon doing that makes you think, man, I value this more because I went to the trouble.
And I think even if the dresser
bought
is of lesser quality than you could have just bought somewhere else, is part of the equation.
And even
right?
if you pay that IKEA premium, right, a little bit extra for like that sweet IKEA brand, yeah,
That giant
interesting.
bag they give you all the stuff in.
Yeah.
And I love this. I'd never heard about this before we started talking about it just now. What do you guys think about this?
I don't think I've ever stepped into an IKEA store.
No, babe.
How dare you?
That's because
one
here's
in
the thing.
Frisco.
Here's the thing. Heath is from Texas. IKEA's furniture errs on the side of small to me.
Ooh.
I just feel like Heath's brand of big and Texas and like everything's
Doesn't
big.
fit.
It's just not the same.
I don't think I've ever
I,
been
however,
furniture shopping
have
in general.
had
I don't think
child-sized
it's got to do
furniture
with
in my
Texas.
house my whole life. Well, it's because Heath's mom decorated his whole house, which is now my house.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. No, we've never. I don't think we've ever been furniture shopping together.
Really?
Well, because we've been thinking we were going to have our house to live in for 3 years.
Oh, come
So we were
on.
waiting till then.
Do yourselves a favor and roll over to IKEA for 3 hours on a Saturday.
I
You'll
heard
hate
that
it.
it's
It'll
like
be
a
great.
real marriage test, and I just would like to get a few more years under our belt.
I don't think. Okay, we could talk a whole segment about
We've been
this.
building a house for 3 years and we're still married, so I think we
Yeah.
can survive
that.
IKEA.
Now, this IKEA effect. So I'm going to relate this to when you give somebody a service for free. Like, for example, when somebody would ask me back when I was doing personal training on, more like I was doing more clients, friends, family would ask for workouts. They'd say, hey, can you do a workout for me? Can you create a plan for me? Aside from both of my parents and one of my brothers, none of those people followed through on the routines because guess what? They didn't pay anything for it.
Yep.
They didn't really invest anything. It was me. I invested in it. I put a lot of time in it because I am passionate about people. Like I think that for a lot of people, their health and fitness can be the conduit to so much great success. So I was like, oh my gosh, if you can get this component, like this is going to be huge for you. But they didn't see that for them. They didn't want that for them. I spent my time making the routine and they were like, okay, cool, thanks. Whereas if they had even paid, like, I don't even know, $100 or something, they would have been like, okay, I invested in that. Let me actually take this routine seriously. So I kind of relate it to that in terms of paying for products and services. And I encourage you, if you are someone who's like in the coaching business or, things like that. Now, if you are just getting started, by all means, get some free stuff, get some,
Yeah.
get some clients, and kind of build up your repertoire that way, because that's going to help you. But if you're really looking to help people, I think that you got to charge them.
Well, but let me ask you this: do you think it's so say we're talking to that person that's in the beginning stages trying to build their business, right? It's not just about charging or not. Get them to make some effort of some sort in order to get it, right? So say you don't charge that person, but find
Like
out
they have to
something,
fill out a questionnaire.
something, yes.
Yeah.
Make them put some sort of effort, because if your goal is to build your brand around that, but then they're not going to take it seriously because they're not invested in it, then now you don't have to charge them money. There's other things, like she said, fill out a questionnaire. Have them take one step of some sort to show that they are going to be committed to doing it.
So I'm going to use an example of people wanting to come on our podcast.
Yeah.
We have been recently getting a lot of outreach from people, which is an honor. I mean, it means that our platform is growing.
Yeah, of
People saying,
course.
"Hey, I would love to come on your show." Well, guess what? Often these are people who I know by the way that they're reaching out about it and speaking about the show, they haven't listened to the show. They're seeing that we have a platform and they want to use that. And it's almost like, well, if we really want to make this happen, and you want to be a guest on the show, well, then you've got to do the work and put together a pitch, right? And listen to the show and put together a pitch and figure out how it would work. And then that's going to be a better guest for us. And they're going to sound better when they come on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell the story all the time whenever I used to do media pitching here at the public relations firm. I would always tell stories about bad publicists that would contact me when I was producing in radio. And there's one in particular that stands out where they were trying to contact me for some guest. It was relevant to the show, but what they did was they called me on the caller line while the show was on the air. So I'm producing the show. They call in on a caller line. I pick it up and they say, "Hey, we just want to talk to you about booking a guest." And I was like, this is the absolute wrong time. This is the wrong place to contact me. Mm-hmm. They didn't invest the time to look and just see, when are they on the air? What is the proper way to contact the producer of the show? They had zero investment. All they did was just call a number that they had, and they tried to make their pitch. And I said, this is not going to work. Like, try to contact me another way, but I'm not interested in what you're doing right now because I'm doing something else.
You showed a lack of they were showing a lack of care, actually.
Right.
And it's disrespectful almost.
Yeah.
When you have no knowledge of it.
And
Because they're just
anybody-
trying to take from you. They're not trying to give.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody on the other end that would invest that time, invest a little effort on their end, I was much more likely to listen to them.
Well, and I go back to as well the reason why in the franchise world that these franchises make the people have a franchise fee. Like they're in the grand scheme of how big the franchise businesses may or may not be, like a $10,000 or $20,000 franchise fee is not that much in compared to what it ends up costing, right, to get a business going.
Of course. But
that little bit makes a massive difference on the amount of success of the people that get into the franchises. That's why they do it. It's really not their revenue part. Most of that 10 or 20,000, they're probably giving away to people for referrals of it all. That's not their revenue, but it's the commitment, because they know when somebody puts that's that dollar amount that they've figured out that is that key difference, that whether they actually commit to making that business work, because a franchise isn't just turning the key over and getting to work. In our business, it's the same way. It's like when somebody comes in, they have to get an insurance license and do all those things. And when you commit to office space, or you commit to some of those things, that commitment, you'll endure it because you'll be more proud of it. You'll care more about it because you actually had to go through some
Putting
stuff.
value on it.
Yes, to get there. Like if they, that's why you see those people that you'll go, oh, they're entitled rich kid, took over their parents' business and they act that way, versus maybe way their father did, or grandfather or grandmother or grandmother. Of
course.
Because they actually had to do the work and go. They went through the days where they were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, where the other one did not have to go through it. That's why they value it more.
Right. It's the reason lottery winners are always end up broke.
Absolutely.
It's because you didn't earn it. And if you earn it, if you have that skin in the game, it matters so much more to you every dime.
The biggest, I love your look on this, Jenny, because I didn't think about
Thanks,
that.
babe.
But because
I take that bid.
Yeah.
I turn toward you.
because in today's world, a lot of people are trying their side hustles and stuff, right? And if you can get influencers, for instance, and stuff on your bandwagon to show things, whether it's your new little business of whatever it is, okay? Great. But here, in a lot of people are trying to start those, and they're sending out to all these influencer stuff for free and not doing anything with it, right? You're never gonna. They're never gonna get the real value out of it. You've got to, like, honestly, it's more important, I think, to find, 5 influencers that will fill out one little survey or something, or make a little order of your product that you give to them for half off, or you have something that then try it for them to do it versus sending it out to 50 for free. Because if somebody shows that little bit of effort, like the IKEA effect here is, they're going to actually care more about it. If they like it, they're going to love it more, right? There was something in that aspect of it for them. And so I think that would be that's an important tip to take here, that just giving free stuff away, a lot of people will throw it to the side.
Well, you're not always hitting your right audience, too. It's like you're just kind of, throwing it out there and seeing, who likes it. Like, here's a free table. Well, if it's somebody kind of helped to build that table or invest in a little bit or was really attracted to it, like they were already a potential customer of that table, and they're like, yes, I am willing to work on this table and build it. Or I like your product, and I'm willing to put myself out there for it. It's more like long-term success with that.
Yeah, they're going to have a passion when they talk about your product or company or whatever it is in a much different level than a whole bunch of people making one little quick post because they got something free.
Well, and what I learned a little bit with the giving out personal training and writing programs for people I care about was I would have them do a pretty lengthy intake form, because first of all, that helped me to craft a better workout for them. And I would make them do the SMART goal setting, which I've talked about, the specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and SMAR.
Well, they're so smart.
So smart.
So smart, your smarty pants
so
can't
smart.
What a bid.
And what is the T? I've been out of the game
Time.
for a while. Time sensitive, where you had to,
there it is.
like, you had to, like, this is my goal for the next 12 weeks or the next year or whatever. And so what I found was that when I sent out the extensive, survey and background and goal setting, some people weren't even willing to do that, which was fine, because then it saved me the time of writing the program, and I could focus on the people who were really like, okay, I do want to do this goal setting, and yes, I do want to go through this process, and I'll send you, health history and all that stuff so that I can make a really robust program, and so that they can feel like, oh, she put something into this for me too.
Yeah.
And when they spend the time going through all the goal setting, which is sort of the essentially putting together the IKEA table, I found that they were more likely. So I think that that's a really good way for people who are trying to give away products or services in an effort to build their business, doing that sort of like underlying research.
I think if you get more people, if you get a relationship where there's a little bit put in both ways, I think it's going to always be something that's appreciated much more. And then it's also understanding that, through the good and bad times, the actual building process of stuff is what makes you love and appreciate something more than just having something handed to you. So we'll be back on the third segment of Second Shot in just a minute.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Heath and Jenny still to come.
To all of my friends in the great state of Texas, if you have not taken advantage, I have a way to save you a ton of money. I have saved over about $3,000 in the last year, and I have no hassle. Go to energyogre.com, put in the promo code SECONDSHOT. Now listen, promo code SECONDSHOT, and you're going to get a free month just for signing up and saving a ton of money. So don't be crazy. Stop sitting around talking about, is this the real deal? And go do it right now. energyogre.com, promo code SECONDSHOT, and a free month. Thanks. Go get it now. Run.
Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot on RNCN.
So I figured it would be good to continue kind of maybe talking around some of the bids and some of the turning towards, as well as getting to some of the stuff in our Second Shot Facebook group that were some interesting conversations kind of coming up. Again, it's Second Shot Facebook group. Go and apply for it. You can join this super secret club.
Yeah.
And secondshotcast@gmail.com. You can shoot us an email with anything that you have. And also, something I thought was absolutely hilarious was my sister-in-law got a call from a teacher. Our 7-8-year-old niece, Kinley, loves the show.
Oh.
And she's
Shout out to Kinley.
Yeah. Thanks, Kinley.
she was
Youngest listener.
Hi.
she was in her class, and I guess something happened, and they have some work they do on iPads as kids, I guess, and Kinley got in trouble because she downloaded the Second Shot podcast onto the school's iPad.
Trouble. What?
Because
She
they're not
should be
allowed to
celebrated.
download stuff there with it. Like they're not allowed to download stuff, I guess. But she went ahead and wanted to listen to the Second Shot podcast, so she downloaded the Second Shot podcast app and subscribed to it.
As she should.
And
Thank
as the
you,
teacher was
Kinley.
on the iPad, pops up the new episode of Second Shot. And she's like, "What is this?
Hold
What is
on.
this?"
We're getting children in trouble
She's
now.
a
We should
rebel
probably
with a cause.
maybe I don't know if we should take it easy on the joke. Good for you, Kinley.
I thought that was hilarious.
Follow the rules.
Advice to Kinley: you can play it directly out of the SoundCloud platform without having to download it if you like, or YouTube or Facebook.
Pro tip.
So you don't have to download anything if you don't want to.
Sorry to
great.
her mama because I stopped.
I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, there are worse calls that you get from your 8-year-old teacher, different type of things. But I thought that was pretty dang funny.
Can we
Yeah.
put out like a Second Shot bounty? If your kid gets a write up and you send it to us, we'll send you a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
I'm not the one that can make that call. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that would
Yes,
be
yes, I would love
a
that.
neat idea.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
So I wanted to also talk about something that was happening in the group. I'm liking that people in the group are starting to direct their business questions to the group. And as we get bigger, I think that we'll be getting, more lengthy responses.
Yeah.
But Jamie wrote into the group saying, I'm considering trying to design an app to be used with the business I am involved in, which is ranching. I have a basic framework of what we would like the app to do, but I have absolutely no software or coding background. Does anyone in the group do app designing? Or has anyone been through the process that may have some ideas of where to start? Thank you for your time. And I love that she thought of the group when she was, starting to go. Or I think Jamie's a she.
Well, and that's one of the good
hold on
things.
a minute.
If you're somebody listening, you're not a part of the group, and you have maybe some experience doing this, go join the group right now and go in there and answer the question for her.
I want to
was,
say that was part of the original idea of the group,
It
right?
was.
To connect people and say, hey, if there was a problem that you had, not just talk about the show, but actually form a community of some sort.
Yes, exactly. And then Javier asked about meditation. Yeah, this is a topic that Heath and I both very much appreciate. He was talking about Dan Harris. Heath and I both read his book.
10% Happier. Really good
listened to
book.
his book.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious to hear how he does meditation. And I think when people hear about meditation, it's super intimidating. And my suggestion with that is start with a guided meditation, which you can find on an app. Heath loves Headspace. I've got my fitness app from Equinox has a guided meditation. Of course, as you get I don't want to say better at it because there's not a better at it, but as you get more comfortable with the practice, you can do meditation obviously without someone guiding you through it. But I think that's a really nice.
I love the guiding
step
it through.
into it.
Yeah. I need to step up my meditation game. I've been saying that for months. I'm like, I need to actually sit down and try
you just need
it.
to
You
just
kind
do
of
it.
have
Right.
a lot going on right now with
That's
being.
true.
But this would help.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it really would.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's discussion about meditation, discussion about apps, etc. And if anybody has if anybody is into meditation or wants to learn more about it, you can hop on that discussion too.
Yeah, it's really cool. I asked a question just a week or two ago about working like a more loose schedule, right? Is it better to work 9 to 5 or is it better to work in chunks over the course of the day? And how do you pad that out? And really intriguing responses. People are really cool about it. I love posting stuff over there. And it's fast too.
Yeah.
It's the only place on the internet I think I can post something and minutes later I get 3 responses from people that are just oh yeah, here's how I did it. Here's what I did. There's super cool people over there.
I did think that was a really good question that you asked though, because it's the gift of having a fluid schedule is, I think should be
A
looked at
curse.
as a gift, but it's such a curse.
Right now it
because
feels like a
when
curse.
you don't have to be at some place at some certain time, you really, I think, have to make a schedule for yourself. And
You have to be very disciplined.
be so disciplined. Do you know about time blocking, or do you do time blocking, or do you know about that concept?
I know that if I try to work from home, I have to drive to my library, local library. I got a card 2 weeks ago, Irving Public, and yeah, I have a little spot that I go sit for 4 hours with a coffee and just work because I'm I can't. I got to get out of my own space, and I'm trying to lean into this open schedule kind of stuff, but I'm no good at it. I'm particular. I like when work is done, I focus on Christine and being home and doing the dishes, and when it's time to work, I'm working. And I feel like I need to get out of that.
Well,
I don't know.
you're not. It's not that you're not good at it. Nobody is when they're used to having that structure. It's not a good or not. It's just you're making your right moves. The biggest thing is you have to find those spaces where you go into, and that's what it is for, right? Like, I mean,
time blocking.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, time blocking and
right.
space in general, like a different, like you are, like the library, right?
Right.
That's smart, okay? Because it's hard for you to do it there, and you get distracted. A lot of people will never be willing to give that up, and they get stuck in it, and they do a horrible job where you already made the change to go to it. But I'm gonna tell you. You need to write out a schedule like a boss made you a schedule and stick to it. And
I think you're
I'm
right.
talking about write it out.
He's really good at his
write it out.
keeping himself on task.
It's tough. I'm struggling with it, but
You need
in the
to-
best way,
Whatever
it's
you
a great
use your
opportunity
calendar
to learn.
is,
Yeah.
you need to have it on there. Like a legit, like I'm talking about legitimately put it on there.
Right.
Go here, there, like you have a boss telling you to.
Right.
So you go follow it and be there and do it.
It's challenging. Yeah.
Well, and what time blocking will do for you is when you set it up, from 7 to 8 a.m. I do this. It gives you a deadline, and I
Give
would
everybody
suggest
what time blocking is.
okay. So at least my concept of it, and maybe Heath has a different one or different people, is setting up the schedule for the day, and then you have 1 hour, just like, if you were in that job, you have 1 hour for that thing. So that hour you're putting away your phone, you're not available to,
Right.
Anybody,
Locking
just
it
like
down.
as if you were working in a call center or something like that. And then you have a deadline for that 1 hour, or maybe it's 2 hours. The other thing I think that can be really effective with this is if you have like a creative thing, like you need to do a blog post or write or get something out like that, maybe you give yourself a bigger time block, but it's only on 2 days a week. Instead of every day writing for 20 minutes, it's really hard to be effective. How that would work for you. For me, when I get into a blog post or I'm going to write something creative, I need like 2 hours uninterrupted.
Yeah.
I couldn't do 20 minutes a day because it takes me a while to get into it. But it's
that
really
works for
just
some.
keeping yourself to a schedule. And then the other thing too, I believe in outdoor time, movement, activity. I just think that it's so imperative to, like being able to then dig back into your work. So if you have the luxury right now of doing that, like, okay, well now I'm going to go walk outside for 15 minutes. Or maybe you're meditating. But if you write the meditation in, it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You for sure will get it done. Now I will also say, like, look at you, Jenny, preaching this. But once I became a mom, this totally changed for me. I'm no longer able to totally turn my phone off. If she's not with me or Heath, I feel the need to leave it on. So that's something I struggle with. Other moms and dads probably understand that too, because I remember I really was able to, as addicted as I am to technology, to turn it off, and like nobody needs to hear from me.
Oh, you were?
Not a great bit, Heath. Not a great bit.
I missed that bit.
I missed that bit also.
It's turning away.
But I was able to accomplish more because I wasn't worried about like, okay, is our nanny going to say something, or is she at school and she's potty training, and did she have any accidents, and all of those different things. So before you get to that phase, get good on your time blocking.
Yeah. I gotta work it out.
Because I struggle with that now too, so much more than I used to.
But and part of that time blocking things is just around discipline, being disciplined around it, and knowing what it is that your importance of and how you can get it done yourself. Right. And like we, as far as staying on task and things, Jenny and I were talking about it with emails and whatnot. One of
my emails drove him crazy.
Well, one of the things that I do is I'm not one of those guys that is always checking my email on my phone all the time, all day. Jenny is. And Jenny was asking me, like, how do you make sure you don't forget them as much? I go, well, I don't check emails unless I know I'm going to have a block of time to go through them, think through them, thoughtfully look at it. Because if you look at something and it needs more of your time and you go on because you don't have time because you're walking down the hall and you shouldn't really be looking at them because you're not going to be able to put any time and effort into it. In my opinion, it's more important to wait till it'd be 5-6 hours later and somebody get a response that's actually real, thoughtful, thought through, versus getting an immediate response that's not going to really do much good. Or you look at it and go, I'll do it later, and you forget because it's already unchecked, right? I mean, that's the time blocking too that I do, is that I don't look at those certain things if I'm around people, if I'm doing anything. Like, I put them all off in segments to where I'm present in those other ones. Any
Articles, books, anything I should be reading about how I can lean my personal life and professional life into, like, stop blocking them and be like, this is one
just make a schedule for yourself.
thing. Yeah, like, this is...
You have to make your schedule. You just you have to sit down and come up with a schedule like a boss. make yourself leave and go to wherever it is there is, and have it blocked out to
Right.
where when you're home, you're home. When you're working, you're working, whether that's at home or not, right? I mean, but it's just putting a schedule down like you have somebody. It's your job's on the line if you're not at that library by 9 a.m., where nobody would know, but
Right.
it's important, right? I mean, it is when you draw out that schedule and put it down, you follow it. It's amazing.
Right. It's
it's
written
amazing.
down. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a vision board.
My mom always laughs about the time she came to visit me for Mom's Weekend. And she showed up, and I had a whiteboard with everything included from showering to eating to when we were going to walk to the game and everything
Wow.
like that. And but that's how I had it. And I had a much more chaotic schedule probably then even than I do now. But she always laughs about it. I'm like, but that's how I got so much done.
It's probably a great weekend. Yeah.
It was awesome.
That works out.
We all showered. We all ate.
See, that was more of a natural thing,
Walked
I
to the
think, for
game.
Jenny, where that was not a natural thing for me. That was something that I realized I absolutely had to make myself do. I'm not a natural taskmaster type person. Not at all.
Yeah. Next
You're
week.
good at it though. You go in the home office and get stuff done.
Well,
Granted, he watches movies while he does it.
Yeah.
but-
Well, what I like
it's
to
on in the
do.
background.
Yeah. Well, that's what I have. I like to have. I need something else to stimulate me, right? So if I have something on the TV over here and I'll have it down and I'm doing my emails and stuff. Like, I don't know. There's something about distraction or noise, I guess, that makes me stay in it. I don't know. It's weird. It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing.
Hey, go for what works.
Now there's times that there's something I really got to get some on, and I'll pause it or turn it off, But I have to have that distraction piece, Now we didn't get back much to the bids, but I'm gonna say look up Gottman, Gottman. Okay. Their research is phenomenal when it comes to bids, turning towards, turning away, doing all those things. And I think that if you go look at them, you'll find a lot of help there. So where can they find you guys at?
JettyandChondo.com. And
I
social media.
apologize. I am so sorry.
I'm
Something's
really
going on
liking
there.
the start-stop music situation. I wasn't sure if just we could hear
I
that
wasn't
or
trying
if
to cue
everybody
you.
else
No,
could.
I apologize.
He's like, wrap it up. It's like when
fine.
you're on
No,
the
no.
Emmy stage
Right.
and they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, you're done.
At Instagram, Jenny and Chondo. Take it away, Zach.
At Apple Zackintosh on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/group/Second Shot. Join the conversation. Come hang out.
You can find me in here screwing up the entire show.
Yes.
apparently.
No, never.
End of the show. You can also find me on Instagram at MattStoker1. Send me your comments there.
If you love us, leave us a rating and review, please, right now, and share us with your friends.
And subscribe. Side
Yes.
note, everyone's listening to one and not subscribing, and we know who you are, family members.
And he throws the ignorance on fire on all the platforms. I love you and see you next time.